who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in persons to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. I once again welcome all of you to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. So we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Before moving to next session, let me know who are all on the call, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call every day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Dakstas from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindax Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Susmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ramya, Anita Ramya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call consistently. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. This is Kamudiki Dasi from Baltimore. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, glories to Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kumudiki Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for inspiring all of us by joining every day to this on this call and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyama Gurudev from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. All glories to the Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sita Priti Devidasi from Pune.
Hare Krishna, Sita Priti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to all your services. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Saramai Devidasi from Mumbai. Thank you for this Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sarvamai Mataji. Very nice name. Are you joining the first time, Mataji, on this call?
Yes, on Zoom, yes, Mataji, but I generally watch it on YouTube.
Okay, on Bhakti Sangha Zoom, you are joining this first time?
Yeah, first time, yes.
Very nice to hear, Mataji. Please join consistently. We have various programs on Bhakti Sangha. You can join to our WhatsApp group also so that you will get updates on all the programs we are having on Bhakti Sangha. Welcome to the call. All glories to Srila Prabhupada devotees. Let's welcome Mataji by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol,
Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol,
Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol.
Hari
Bol,
Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Bhakti. Thank you all.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. So I think Prabhuji is there on the call, so we can start the session now.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. My Dandavat Pranam to you and to the all assembled devotees. This is Pooja Arora from Haridwar. Happy Ekadashi, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pooja Arora Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call every day and being so consistent in Krishna consciousness. And yes, happy Ekadashi to you also, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I once again welcome all of you to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you so much to all the devotees who have introduced themselves, and welcome once again to all the devotees to the call. And now we will be moving on to the next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be given by His Grace, Balaram Shakti Prabhuji, and it is on Canto 6, Chapter 10, and Text 10. Hare Krishna, Balaram Shakti Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for accepting the invitation and coming on the call and giving your valuable time and association to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 6, Chapter 10 and Text 10. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, just give me. I'm sorry. I opened the wrong file. Just give me a second.
Prabhuji, and we cannot see you.
Mataji, I have a problem with my laptop camera, so I have not fixed it yet. So I will not be able to switch on my video. I'm sorry for that.
No problem, Prabhuji.
But you'll be seeing the slides. So yeah, that's the most important thing. So you'll be seeing that. Okay. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. So we have been discussing from the 6th canto, 10th chapter. So today we'll be discussing the 10th verse, which is spoken by Dadi Muni to the demigods headed by Indra. So we will read the verse, read the translation and purport, and then we will see what we can learn from this. So 10th verse we will chant together. Aho dainyam aho kashtam parakyaiksana banguraihi yannopakuryad asvartair martyahas swagnati vigrahaihi. Translation: this body, which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death, does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, its riches and relatives must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be sources of tribulation and misery. So this is Dajiji speaking to Indra when Indra requested him to Dadichi Muni to give up his body so that he could use his bones to make thunderbolts so that Vritrasur can be killed, so that the demigods can continue to live. So, so this is the last verse that Dadichi Muni writes, that Dadichi Muni speaks. Srila Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport here. Srila Prabhupada says, similar advice is also given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Etavat janma safalyam dehinam iha dehishu pranair artair dhiya vacha shreya acharanam sada. So Krishna says in 10th canto, it is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. If the prana, if not artha, if not dhiya, if not vacha. Pranair artair dhiya vacha shreya acharanam sada. Like that. So he says this is the mission of life. One's own body and the bodies of his friends and relatives, as one's own riches and everything else one has, should be engaged for the benefit of others. This is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As stated in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bharata Bhumi te haila manushya janmaya janmasartaka karikara para upakar. One who has taken birth as a human being in the land of the earth should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. So the word upakurya means para upakar, helping others. Of course, in human society, there are many institutions to help others. But because philanthropists do not know how to help others, their propensity for philanthropy is ineffectual. They do not know the ultimate goal of life, which is to please the Supreme Lord. If all philanthropic and humanitarian activities were directed towards achieving the ultimate goal of life, that is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they would all be perfect. Humanitarian work without Krishna is nothing. Krishna must be brought to the center of all our activities, otherwise no activity will have value. Very nice purport. So here today we will see a few themes. That is my desire, but let's see how many themes we actually manage to complete. But the first theme, let's do a quick recap of the story till now. It's a very interesting story. So Indra was sitting with his wife Shachi Devi in his assembly, and he was being praised by Siddhas, Charanas, Gandharvas. All of them were praising him. He was totally mesmerized by that. Suddenly at that point, Saraswati entered. But Indra, being too absorbed in his material opulence, he forgot himself and he did not respect Brihaspati by getting up. Brihaspati immediately understood what was there within the heart of Indra. He understood Indra's pride in his material opulence. Immediately, Brihaspati disappeared from the assembly to teach him a lesson. As soon as Brihaspati left, Indra immediately came back to his senses. He became very repentant. He ran behind to beg forgiveness from Brihaspati, but he could not find Brihaspati anywhere. And in due course of time, Indra lost all his opulence. The demons conquered the demigods. The demons occupied Indra's throne. Everything was lost because of disrespect towards the spiritual master. So Indra and the demigods then took shelter of Brahma. So Brahmaji understood the problem of Indra. Brahmaji first, as a very responsible leader, chastised Indra for his mistake. And Indra and the demigods for their mistake. And then he told, okay, fine. Brihaspati is upset. He will not back right now. So do one thing. There is the son of Twashta. His name is Vishwarupa. He is very, very qualified. He can act as your priest. Okay. So, but at the same time, Brahmaji says, but you should be willing to tolerate. He has some soft corner for the demons also because his grandmother was a demon. So his mother's side were connected to the demons. So therefore, he has some soft corner for them also. So you should be tolerant of that. So that was just a detail which Indra did not probably hear properly. So they accepted Vishwarup as their priest. They performed the yajnas under the priesthood of Vishwarup, and Vishwarup taught them the Narayana Kavach, through which they invoked the protection of the Supreme Lord, and they could easily defeat the demons. So at this point of time, Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukadeva Goswami to speak about the Narayana Kavach. What was this Narayana Kavach? So Shukadeva Goswami, in this whole of 8th chapter of 6th canto, he describes about the Narayana Kavach. Anyways, so when this was going on, Vishnu was acting as the priest of the demigods. He was loudly chanting and offering oblations to the devatas, but secretly he was offering some oblations for the benefit of the demons also, because familial attachment to the demons. Immediately, as soon as Indra understood, he became, because just recently the demons had forcibly overtaken the demigods, they had taken over the heavens and Indra's post and everything. And suddenly when he comes to know that not only are the demons having their own priests who are offering oblations to the demons, but our own priest is also offering some oblations to the demons, apart from offering it to us. So he became very much scared that they may take over again. So immediately he actually chopped off the head of 3 heads of Vishwarup. So because it was a Brahmahatya, there was some reactions. Actually, Indra is capable of neutralizing these reactions, because sinful reactions are accumulated in human form in Bharatavarsha. Piety or sins are accumulated only in a human form in Bharatavarsha. Rest of the species are Upabhoga Dehas. They are bodies by which you enjoy or suffer your pious or impious karma. So, Indra had the capacity to neutralize the reactions, but Indra chose, okay, I will take it up, because he was that much responsible for sure. One should not completely demonize Indra also, right? So Indra accepted, okay, I will take care of it. I will go through it like that. He decided. Then, but later he distributed it amongst 1/4 of the sinful reactions. He distributed it to the land, water, trees, and women. So that is why 1/4 of therefore we have deserts, because the land accepted 1/4 of those sinful reactions. Therefore, you have this desert land which is very, very not at all fertile, and water also accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions, because of which sometimes they develop impurities in the form of bubbles, and that water is not potable water. And that is also accepted 1/4, because of which they develop sap, which is considered to be an unacceptable part of the tree. And the woman also accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions, because of which they have this menstrual cycle like that, during which they become untouchable like that. So anyways, so while this was happening, in the meantime, Twashta came to know about his son's death. Twashta became very upset. So he started performing a sacrifice to kill Indra. So basically he performed a sacrifice to create a demon who would kill Indra, but because of the mispronunciation of the mantra, created a demon who would eventually be killed by Indra. It was not even a pronunciation mistake, it was a very slight intonation mistake. So, therefore, because of which he became, he created this Vritrasur. But anyways, this Vritrasur was such a ferocious demon. He looked almost invincible. The demigods got completely terrified in Vritrasur. They immediately ran to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. They worshipped him. They offered prayers which seemed like very pure devotional prayers. But at the end of it, they requested Vritrasur to be killed. The Lord definitely was not very pleased. He was pleased in one sense, but not very pleased, which is quite evident from the word that he spoke. The Lord told the demigods, look, actually there is nothing which is difficult to obtain if someone manages to please me. Dharma, Rama, Moksha, anything can be obtained if someone manages to please me. But a pure devotee generally does not ask me for anything except the opportunity to engage in bhakti, which means you are not pure devotees. In fact, miserly people like you, demigods, you do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. The ultimate necessity of the soul is Krishna Bhakti. But the foolish soul may ask for other things. But if one awards what the fool desires, the giver must also be considered foolish. So if I give you what you ask for, then I must also be considered foolish. Okay. But even these words, to understand, it needs some level of Shraddha. It's not that after they heard these words from the Supreme Lord, the demigod, okay, forget about killing Vritrasur, just give us Shuddha Bhakti. They don't ask for it. They are happy that the Lord granted that desire, that wish. He says that continues. One who knows the highest good will never instruct a foolish person to engage in material enjoyment. Actually, demigods wanted to just live and enjoy, because of which they had come to the Supreme Lord. And the Lord says, actually, one who knows the highest good will never instruct a foolish person to engage in material enjoyment. Just as an experienced doctor will not give his patient food which is injurious to his health, even if the patient desires it. So ideally, I should not be giving it to you. But nevertheless, you all are very ignorant. You won't understand what is the highest good. So, therefore, and anyways, you have not come to me as patients seeking a medicine for your malady. You have come to me for getting what you want. So I cannot take the role of a doctor and tell you that this is not an appropriate desire, because you have not come to ask me if this is an appropriate desire or not. So I cannot do that role. So anyways, because you want this, go to Dadichi and ask for his bones, because even Krishna knows that for the mistake that you have done, you should suffer. So there is a very interesting story between this Dadichi and Indra. Once Dadichi Muni, he knew particular practices by which one could become a Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul. The Ashwini Kumaras, who were the celestial doctors, physicians, they approached Dadichi Muni and they requested, can you please teach us that that practice by which we can become liberated? Dadichi Muni said, okay, fine, I will do it. Indra, coming to know about this, he immediately came to Dadichi and he threatened Dadichi Muni. Look, they are inferior to me. They are just celestial physicians. They are not so great. And so you cannot teach them this. But if you don't listen to me, and if you teach them this method by which they can become liberated, then I will chop off your head. Indra threatens Dadichi Muni. Dadichi said, fine. After Indra left, Ashwini Kumaras came and they said, okay, please teach us. So, and then Dadichi said, this is what Indra told. And Ashwini Kumar said, don't worry, we are all physicians. What to speak of Indra? We will only chop off your head and replace it with the head of a horse. So through that head, you teach us that Vidya. And after that, when Indra comes to know about this, he will come and chop off your head. Okay. And then we will replace it with your head, and then you will be perfectly fine. So because we are physicians, we know art and we will do it for you. So Dadichi was fairly satisfied. So he said, okay. And then he taught. So they themselves chopped off the head of Dadichi, replaced it with a horse's head, and Dadichi taught them this Vidya. And then Indra came to know, Indra came and chopped off that head. Then the Ashwini Kumaras replaced it with the original head of Dadichi. And like that. So Indra had already actually done something very much nefarious with Dadichi. So to go, and now God said, go and beg from him. So much is your desire to live. I will ensure that your false ego is crushed. Go and beg from Dadichi, whose life, without thinking twice, you chopped off his head. You are so much eager to take his life away just because he taught the means of attaining liberation to someone who is joined to you. Huh? You didn't think twice to kill Dadichi. So now you want your own life back. Go and beg from that same person whose life you are very much ready to take. So of course, sometimes when our material desires are too overwhelming, we become shameless. So Indra became ready to go and request Muni. But then he says that when you go, don't go and directly ask. Take the Ashwini Kumaras with you so that they can beg on your behalf. Okay. And because the Dadichi Muni is a dharmic soul, he will surely give it to you. Okay. And then when he gives his body to you, you take the bones, give it to Vishwakarma. And because Dadichi Muni has chanted the Narayana Kavach prayers, therefore his bones will be as powerful as the thunderbolt. So Vishwakarma will make actually a thunderbolt, a Vajrayuda, using the bones of Dadichi Muni, and he will give it to you. And that Vajrayuda is capable of killing Vritrasura because it will be invested with my power. And when Vritrasura is killed, you will regain all your strength and weapons and wealth all back, and there will be all good fortune to you. And when you are fighting him, don't worry, he will not harm you because he is my devotee. Because he is my devotee, he will not harm you. Don't worry. Go ahead and confidently kill him. Like so. Then, having said this, the Supreme Lord disappeared, and Indra approached Dadichi and asked for his body. And a very interesting conversation happens between Dadichi and the Devatas. So Dadichi, when they asked Dadichi for his body, Dadichi Muni said, Indra, at the time of death, there is severe, unbearable pain, which takes away the consciousness of all living. And you want me to go through that pain by giving you my body? And Indra says, you know what? Actually, we don't want, but Vishnu himself has asked us to request you. Because Vishnu asked us, therefore we are requesting. Otherwise, no. Not that we are very much interested. So, which means, times you want someone to do something for you, then generally you say, oh, Prabhu, this senior devotee has to. It's not that I am asking you to do it, the senior devotee has asked, or Guru Maharaj has asked you. Whether Guru Maharaj asked or not, that is a different thing. But we may say that if this is the Brahmastra, when you use Brahmastra, then they cannot say no. So he says, actually, Lord Vishnu has requested, it is not our desire. Lord Vishnu only told, like that. So then, in response to that, he wants to tease Indra, the Rishi Muni. He says, you know what? The body is dear to all the jivas, and you know it very well, Indra, because you have come to from me. Of all the people, you tried to kill me, and now you have come to beg for your own life from me, and that is okay. But you know that if you have to live, I have to die. Still, for the second time, you have come to take my life back so that you can live. So you know better than me, O Indra, that the body is dear to all the jivas. It is to be protected by those desiring to live in this world. Even if Vishnu may ask, who can tolerate giving this body even to Vishnu? So Indra becomes a little scared. Indra wants to somehow use all the weapons of speech in his hand to convince Dadichi. He said, oh Dadichi, you are very pious. Pious persons like you, your activities are always praiseworthy. You are compassionate to all people. So therefore, yes, what you say is right. For ordinary people, the body is dear. But for compassionate people like you, what is difficult to give up, including your own body? So for you, it should not be a problem, right? Then Dadichi Maharaj says, you selfish Indra, selfish people like you, Devatas, you do not know the pain of others. If only the requester knew others' pain, he would not ask. Indra responds by telling, you know what, Dadichi, if the donor knew others' pain, he would not refuse to give since he is capable of giving, like that. So like that he says, and this is what is the, when the desire to enjoy blinds our eyes, we lose all shame. Anyways, Dadichi had had enough. Dadichi told Indra, look, actually I could have immediately given my body to you. But I spoke with you, I engaged in a conversation with you because I thought from your mouth I would hear from religious principles, from dharmic principles that you would speak. That is why initially I refused. I spoke as if I was refusing to give this body. But all I have heard from your mouth was just some fancy words. No dharma. What principle of dharma did you speak? Anyways, don't worry, I will give up this body. I will die in a short time. It is better for me to give up the body before the body gives me up. At least, I can get the satisfaction of giving in charity. So take it. I am offering it to you. And this is good fortune for me also. And then he says that actually one who does not endeavor for dharma and fame through this temporary body by showing passion to others is pitied even by the immovable beings. Right? So this body, one should endeavor for dharma and fame through this body by showing compassion to others. The mind possessing imperishable dharma which laments others' distress and rejoices at their joy is praised by pious men. Paradukka dukhi, parasukhi. So that mind which laments for the distress of others and which rejoices at the joy of others is actually praised by pious men. And what is this body? this body, it is fit to be eaten by jackals and insects. Okay. When that body, if it is not used, if it is not used to assist others by one's relatives and wealth, that is, it is a miserable body. I don't want to make my body miserable. I don't want to live a miserable. Take it, no problem. So Dadiji, then offering himself to the Lord, he gave up his body to Indra. This will be the verse for tomorrow. So this is what is the brief storyline that has happened till now. So now we will discuss that the whole thing started with Indra disrespecting Brihaspati. So today, one of the themes that we will discuss is this whole concept of he disrespected his own guru. So this whole problem of Vaishnava Ninda or blasphemy of devotees or offending the devotees or offending the guru, the root cause of this problem is actually a general culture of disrespect. A general culture of disrespect is the cause of offenses. And the solution for this problem is that to develop a culture of respect, a generic culture of respect. If we don't have a generic culture of respect, then we are very much prone to commit Vaishnava Ninda. It is not possible that one can be disrespectful towards non-devotees and be very respectful towards the devotees. It is not at all possible. I always give this example. If someone is running a 100-meter race, 100-meter dash, right? So generally, if you see, even after completing the race, when they touch the 100-meter line, still the runners, they continue running for another 20-30 meters. Because the inertia of motion carries them to another 20-30 meters. They can't stop immediately. At the 100th meter, they cannot immediately stop. Right? It is not possible. So the inertia of motion will carry them another 20-30 meters. So similarly, if we have a generic disrespectful attitude towards what to speak of other living entities, but even inanimate objects, if we have a generic mood of disrespect, then that mood of disrespect carries into the realm of devotional service also. Like something as simple as, you are in the bathroom to take bath or something. If you move that bucket which you could move with your hands, if you move with your legs, that is an act of disrespect actually. Right? It is not serious disrespect. A bucket is just an inanimate object, no doubt. But that act of moving it with your legs actually might be an indicator of how immune we are to offending devotees, guru, etc. Okay. So we have to see how much in our ordinary dealings, even with inanimate objects, if we are dealing this disrespectfully, it should ring an alarm bell that I have very low immunity towards committing offenses to devotees, because this will get carried over. Okay. So Kapila Dev, in the 3rd canto, 29th chapter, he speaks very beautifully about mixed devotional service and pure devotional service. He describes what is pure devotional service. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttam. So he talks about pure devotional service. But then he immediately talks about offenses after that. So in one of the purports, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti describes the mood of Kapila Dev. So he says, however, in such bhakti, offense creates restriction. Offense generally stems from disrespect to great devotees. So offense is caused due to disrespect to great devotees. And even though such devotees are difficult to see, many exist. Because generally, we are very superficial people, and generally we tend to judge people looking at their external appearance. So we may end up giving more respect to less qualified people and less respect to more qualified people, because we are so much absorbed in the externalities, right? So in order to avoid offenses to them, one should pay respects to all living entities, thinking that the Lord is present in all of them. This is the mood in which Kapila Dev is speaking this verse. Learn to respect everyone, so that the culture of respect will naturally, you will carry it into the realm of devotees, and you will have a very strong immunity against committing offenses to Vaishnavas, Vaishnava Parad, right? So he tells, without doing so, even worshipping the deity forms of the Lord will not give any result. This is the mode in which Kapila Dev is going to speak now. Since he is the Supreme Lord, Kapila then speaks in 6 verses somewhat angrily out of affect to benefit his devotees who does not respect all beings. So one should respect everyone. In these verses, disrespect, disregard, hatred, and criticism are forbidden, even to ordinary divinities. Right? So this just reminds me of when in the Radha Gopinath Prabhu was sharing this verse, sharing this example. When the first time he got into the altar after he got Brahmin initiation, he wanted to switch on the altar lights. So in those days, in the Radha Gopinath altar, there were foot switches, the switches, just so that they are not prominently seen on the altar. There were switches which were in the bottom. Okay. So Radha Gopinath Prabhu went inside and switched those switches on with his legs. Immediately His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj came running, and he told, what did you do? And he said, I switched on the light. And he said, why did you use your feet? And Radha Gopinath Prabhu said, it's a foot switch. That's why. And Maharaj said, no. It may be a foot switch, but you are not supposed to use your feet. You are supposed to use your hands. That which you can do with your hands, if you use your feet, is a sign of disrespect. And especially on the altar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you cannot use your feet to do that. Right? So these are alarm bells, actually. So if we have a generic disposition of disrespect, then we should be very, very careful. We should subdue generic disrespect towards all living entities, towards your subordinates in the office or wherever. They may not be devotees. How you treat them. So we can safely expect that we cannot hope to treat the devotees much better than what we treat our non-devotee. I don't like to call non-devotees, yet to be devotees, right? So, because everyone is potentially a devotee only. So it depends on that, right? So he says that, respect starts there. So this person performs imitation worship of my deity forms. Archa Vidambanam. Kurute Archa Vidambanam. This is what Kapila Dev says. That he says that respect everyone. Therefore, if you see case of Rahuguna and the Jadabharat episode, actually Rahuguna was a very pious king. And he always respected the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. He was actually a devotee, right? But Jadabharat was such a person, he had completely covered himself. He you know, it is mentioned that his Brahmin thread was so soiled. His body was dark. His Brahmin thread was so soiled, not washed properly. It was black in color, literally. And it merged with his body. Rahuguna could not even see a Brahmin thread. He did not look like a Brahman. His appearance was so disheveled, not clean. So it was a genuine problem actually. Rahuguna could not identify Jadabharat to be an exalted Vaishnava and a Brahmana. So he was, this whole story, right? So he criticized him and scolded him, threatened him, and all that, threatened to punish him. And finally, when Jadabharat started speaking, Rahuguna just shook. Then he realized, my God, he is such an exalted person. And then towards the end of the conversation, Rahuguna speaks this verse. He says, Namo mahadbhyostu namah shishubhyo, namo yuvabhyo nama avatubhyah, ye brahmanagam avadhuta lingas charanti tebhya shivamastu rajñam. He says, Namo mahadbhyo astu. I offer my respects to all the great devotees. Namaha Shishubhyo, they may be in the form of babies. I could not identify Jadabharat. So, but he happened to be a great devotee. So a great devotee like the four Kumaras may be in the form of babies also. Namo Yuvabhyo, be in youthful form like Prahlad and Dhruva Maharaj. Nama Avatubhyaha, they may be in the form of young boys. So why should I take a chance? I offer my respects to all of them. So this Brahmana, ye tebhyah gam charanti, do wander, these Brahmanas who wander this earth in the dress of Avadutas. I offer respects to the Brahmanas also who wander in the earth in the dress of Avadutas. Shivamastu Rajñam. Yes, I mistake. But oh Brahmanas, please don't curse the whole kingly class. I am an unfortunate fallen representative of the kingly class. Don't think that the whole kingly class is like me. If at all there is any, let it come upon me, is like Parashuram killed the whole kingly class 21 times. So let the curse not come upon the whole kingly class. I'm an irresponsible, unqualified representative of the kings. So if at all there is something, let it come upon me. So I offer obeisances. I have learnt my lesson. I will not go by externalities. I will offer my obeisances to children and babies and youths and young boys, everyone, because a devotee can be in any form. This time I was cheated. And I have learnt my lesson the hard way. Like that he offers his obeisances. So the principle is that one should have a generic discipline of respect. And if that is not, if one does not cultivate a generic disposition of respect, then we are in trouble. We are in danger of committing offenses towards the Vaishnavas. So therefore, in very strong words, Kapila speaks these 6 verses. We will just read them. We will not discuss them in detail, but we will at least read them just to see what Kapila Dev says. Aham sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma avastita sada tam avajnaya mam martyah kurute archa vidambanam. Kapila Dev says, I, Bhutatma, the soul of all beings, I am always sarveshu bhuteshu avastita. I am always situated in all beings. Martyah, that living entity, mam avajnaya, who disrespects me, tam, in all living beings. Who disrespects in all living beings means, if you are disrespecting any living entity, then you are not recognizing the presence of the Supreme Lord in the body of that living entity. So one who disrespects Krishna, who is present in all the living entities, Kurute Archa Vidambanam. You may be performing nice deity worship, but your deity worship is all false. Not that Kapila Dev is recommending, if you cannot respect the devotees, stop the deity worship. That is not what he is suggesting. He is telling that even though you may do fantastic deity worship, but if you cannot respect other living entities, then your deity worship is all false, in the sense it will not be that potent. Like that. Yomam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanam ishwaram hitva archam bhajate maudyat basmanyeva juhoti saha. Such a person who may be worshipping the deities, but he neglects or does not give proper respect to the living entities, while neglecting my presence in their bodies in the form of Paramatma, he is actually offering oblations into ashes instead of oblations into fire. Basmanyeva juhoti saha. So you will get the result of your yagya only if you offer oblations in the sacrificial fire, not in the ashes. So then he says, Dvishatah parakaye maam manino binna darshinaha bhuteshu baddha vairasya namana shantim richati. And such a person who is inimical to other beings, hating them, binna darshinaha, and who is not able to see others suffering as equal to his own suffering, na manaha shantim richati. Such a person, his mind will never attain peace. His mind will never attain peace. Even though if he is not able to see others suffering as his own, and in this way, without any kind of empathy, if he commits, if he causes suffering to other living entities, he can never attain peace. Aham uchchavachair dravyaihi kriyaya utpannaya anaghe naivatushya archito archayam bhutagrama avamaninaha. O mother, aham na evatushya, I am certainly not pleased with that person who is bhutagrama avamaninaha, who criticizes other beings. Archito archayam, but he may be perfectly worshipping my deity form, but when he criticizes other living entities, not even talking about devotees, any living entity, but he may be, I am not pleased with such a person. Aham na evatushya. Like that. So like that, Kapila Dev in very strong words criticizes such a person, that if you cannot respect others, then your worship of me is third class worship. Because by such a worship, you will also eventually commit offenses towards the Vaishnavas, and I will be displeased by that. But even though the Lord says, Kapila Dev says that everyone should be respected, every living entity should be respected, but and Bhagavad Gita also says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapakechas Pandita Samadarshina. A Jnani sees all the living entities on the same platform, but that is not kind of worship, that is not the kind of respect and equanimity that is shown by the Vaishnavas. So Vaishnavas, their respect is Sakale Samman Korite Shakati Dehonata Jata Jata Tabeto Gaibo Harinama Suke Aparada Habe Hata. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Sakale Samman Korite Shakati Deho. My dear Gurudev, please give me the power to honor all living entities. Sakale Samman Korite Shakati Deho Nata. Oh Lord, give me the strength to respect all the living entities, but Jata Jata. Jata Jata means as they deserve, as it is appropriate. So which means not only give me the strength, but also give me the discrimination to respect them according to what they deserve. Okay. Tabeto gaibo harinama suke aparadha habehata. Only then I will be able to sing the holy names in great ecstasies without any offenses, like that. So therefore, in that same section, Kapiladev says, how should one give respect? So how are Vaishnavas Samadarshi? Vaishnavas are Samadarshi not in giving the same respect to everyone, right? But in understanding that everyone deserves to be given respect. You know, no one deserves not to be given respect. So we are Samadarshis in that way, that everyone deserves respect, right? Including inanimate objects. But but we don't give the exact same respect to everyone. That's not correct. So we cannot give the same respect to a Kanishtadhikari, a Madhyamadhikari, and an Uttamadhikari. If you do that, it is actually disrespect to the Uttamadhikari. If you give the same respect that you give to an Uttamadhikari and the Kanishtadhikari, it is actually a disrespect to the Uttamadhikari, because according to his development of consciousness, he deserves more respect, actually, right? So Vaishnavas give respect according to the development of consciousness. That is why in the same section, Kapiladev describes gradations of jiva. I will not go into details. You can, there are 3 places in Bhagavatam where this gradations of jiva is given, in order to indicate that how Vaishnavas have to give respect according to the level of development of consciousness. So he says that immovable living entities are superior to the withered ones. Superior to them are entities with greater life symptoms. Superior to them are entities with higher consciousness and movement. Superior to them are entities with senses such as trees, right? And superior to the trees with touch sensation are beings with taste sensation, rasavedinaha. Superior to them are gandhavidaha, those who also have a sense of smell. And superior to them are shabdavedis, who also can hear sound. They are more evolved. Their consciousness is more evolved, as we have in what is that? Sankuchita, Mukulita, then Vikasita, Purna Vikasita, like that. There are many levels of consciousness, So Sankuchita Chetana, Mukulita Chetana. Then there is Avrita, Sankuchita, Mukulita, Vikasita, and Purna Vikasita. 5 levels of blossomed consciousness. So depending on how much the consciousness is blossomed, that level of respect should be given, right? And then he says that similar and higher than that are entities who can distinguish form, and superior to them are those with 2 sets of teeth, and superior to them are those with many legs, and better than them are those with 4 legs, and superior to them are those with 2. That is, human beings are better, and amongst the human beings, those within the Varnashram are superior. They should be given higher respect. Amongst the Varnas, the Brahmanas are the best. They should be given even higher respect. Amongst the Brahmanas, those who know the Vedas, Vedagya, he should be given even higher respect. Arthagya, some may know the Vedas, but they may not know the meaning of the Vedas. One who additionally knows the meaning, he should be given even higher respect. Arthagyat samshet cheta. Someone may know the meaning, but they may not know the practical application of those meanings. So they cannot cut the doubts of others with that knowledge. But if someone can cut the doubts of others' knowledge through the knowledge of the Vedas, then he is even superior. He should be given even more respect. Tata Shreyan Swakarmakrit. Someone may be able to give advice to others, but he himself may not be properly following. So better than that is a Swakarmakrit, one who perfectly performs his duties. But amongst those who can perfectly perform those duties, one who has reached the stage of jnana, which means one who has purified his heart by the practice of karma, he is even better. Okay. And then superior to that jnani is a devotee, he says. And then he says, I do not see a living entity who is who is greater than this person, who has offered everything to me. He has given up all varnashram duties, and who thinks of the Lord alone, who thinks that the Lord alone inspires his bhakti, and with great gratitude he worships the Lord. He is the supermost, and he should be given the highest respect. Like that, Piladev mentions to Mother Devahuti that while one should try to curb a generic disposition of disrespect towards all living entities, but that manifestation of respect cannot be the same towards all living entities. That manifestation of respect should be according to one's development consciousness that he indicates here. Then the third theme, I don't know how much time we will have to cover this theme. Ultimately, perfect respect is possible only by transforming our false ego into true ego, which means only those who have attained true ego can perfectly respect everyone. Which means only devotees have true ego. Jivera Swaruphoy Krishnera Nityadas. And even though devotees may have true ego, but still disrespect may come due to our inertia of false ego, inertia of past false ego that we are carrying into the realm of true ego. Like we all know, Jivera Swaruphoy Krishnera Nityadas. We all have our true ego. As devotees, as soon as someone takes up to devotional service, as soon as someone receives the seed of devotion, the meaning of receiving the seed of devotion is to receive the true ego. We all agree to the point that Jivera Swarubhai Krishnera Nityadas. I am a servant of Krishna. I don't think any one of us would deny this self-identification. But having said that, we all would 100% agree that most of the time I am not able to act with this upadhi. I am unable to act with this upadhi. So we all are like, I like to give this example. We all are like, sitting in a train. For those of you who have been in India, you will be able to, even others, it's not just an example only. We all are like in a train, let's say Rajdhani Express, which is going from Mathura to Bombay. The train is going from Mathura to Bombay. So we are sitting in that train. But our desire is to go to Mathura and Vrindavan. But we are sitting in a train which is going towards Bombay in the opposite direction. Right? So, but some of us are, but all of us are looking towards Mathura. But in the train which is going towards Bombay, some of us are walking in the direction of Mathura, but inside the train. Some of us are running, but inside the train. Right? So, walking towards the direction of Mathura is our true ego, but in reality, we are carrying along with us an inertia of past false ego, of identifying with the gross body and subtle body. Right? So even though we are running, so this is the train. Okay. And this is Mathura. And this is Bombay. So the train is moving towards Bombay at 100 km per hour. And within the train, we are running towards Mathura at a speed of 1 km per hour. Okay, right. So this is, but we may be moving towards Mathura at 1 kilometer per hour, but that indicates our true ego. But for many of us, the force of our past false ego might be overwhelming. So in essence, we are moving towards Bombay at a speed of 99 kilometers per hour. In that direction only, which means most of our actions may be performed to the influence of our past false ego. But hidden behind that is our true ego. So, influenced by the inertia of the past false ego, we engage in all kinds of disrespect activities. So, perfect respect can come only when we not only accept true ego, but also successfully destroy the inertia of false ego that is accompanying the true ego as soon as we receive the seed of devotion. So, Manas Siksha, a book written by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, a very small book, just 12 verses, that describes how gradually this false ego can be transformed into true ego. I don't think we have much time, but I will quickly try to we will share how step by step this is described by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So in the very first verse, he says, what is the prime duty of a person who has received the seed of devotion, that is pure devotional faith? So he says, first duty is he should start giving up his material designations and he should prepare himself to develop spiritual designation. Okay. Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, that is the seed that he has received. So what does it mean to become Krishnera Nityadas? Which it means to develop, to become a part of Krishna's family means to develop a relationship with Krishna's family members. So how do you do that? So he says, Gurau Goshte Goshtalayishu Jane Bhusuragane Swamantre Shrinamni Vrajanava Yuvadvandva Sharane Sada Dambam Hitva Kuru Ratima Purvamatitaram Aye Swantar Bratas Chatubirabiyache Dritapada. So he says, Aye Swantar Brataha. Oh my dear brother mine. So he says, Sada Dambam Hitva. So Dambam means pride, literally translated. But here the word Dambam means upadis. Our past designations which we are still attached to. Okay. So why he uses the word dambam here? Because the source of our pride is only our designations. Because if I think I am a teacher, then I will be proud of my teaching. If I think I am a speaker, then I will be proud of my speaking. Right? So whatever is the designation that we identify with, pride is connected to that designation. So therefore, Sada Dambam Hitva. Sada means always. So Sada Dambam Hitva means giving up this designation is not an act. It is not an event, but it is a gradual process. That's what is indicating by usage of this word Sada. Sada means constantly give up, which means it is a constant process of giving up our false identification, false upadis. So how he is going to suggest it, this will be described in 4 verses, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. But then he says, so give up that false designations and kuru ratim apurvam atitaram, and please develop unprecedented and excessive attachment to Gurau, Goshte, Goshtalayu, Sujane, Bhusuragane, Swamantre, Shrinamni, Vrajanavayuvadvandva Sharane. 8 things that he says. Gurau means, how do you develop a relationship with Krishna? For that, you have to develop a relationship with Guru. Okay, I will share this these slides with you. When we were discussing Manas Siksha, we did a nice exercise where devotees shared how do we develop relationship with these 8 aspects. So Guru means the Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru, both. Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastra Uktas Tata Bhavyata Eva Sadbihi. Right. And Goshte, one should also develop a relationship with the Vrindavan. Goshtalayishu, one should develop relationship with the Vrajavasis. Sujane, one should develop relationship with all the Vaishnavas. Bhusuragane, one should also develop relationship with the Brahmanas because Krishna likes the Brahmanas also. Swamantre, one should also develop attraction to the holy name that one has, to the Gayatri mantra that one has received from the Guru. Shri Namni, one should also develop attraction towards the holy names. Vrajanavayuvad Dvandva Sharane, and the process of surrendering to Radha and Krishna. So these are 8 things. So in order to develop our new upadhi, he says, on one side we should endeavor to give up our old upadhis, but at the same time we should endeavor to develop our new upadhi. So new upadhi is Krishnadas, but to become Krishnadas, we have to connect with everything connected with Krishna. Right? So that is like that. So then he says, Atitaram Kuru. Atitaram Kuru, we have to make excessive endeavor to develop an attraction towards these 8 things connected with Krishna. And he says, Kuru Ratim Apurvam Atitaram. You should develop Apurva Rati. Apurva Rati means unprecedented attraction towards these 8 things. Unprecedented means what? It means that all our past attractions in this material world have been on the platform of false ego. But this attraction to these 8 things should be on the platform of true ego. Right. And second thing, Apurvarati also means till now whatever attraction that we had in this world were for our own pleasure, Atmendriya Priti. Whereas attraction towards these 8 objects should be in the mode of Krishnendriya Priti, for the pleasure of Krishna's Indriyas. And Apurvarati also means you must, in this material world, you must have very deep attraction to many things, but the attraction to these 8 things should be even more intense than whatever attraction you have towards any object or people of this material world. Like that, he says. So this is the first thing, which is, that try to endeavor to give up the false upadhi and earnestly endeavor to develop the true upadhi. So as I mentioned, we were discussing how does one develop rati for the Guru. So many things where I will just share some points quickly. I'll just read them and I'll be sharing these slides with you. Devotee said, regularly hearing from the Guru. That is a very important way of developing attraction to the Guru. Endeavor to please him by your services, recollecting and hearing the activities performed by the Guru. Faith in the Guru's instructions, associating with those who have that faith, cooperating with other God brothers and devotees, praying to Nityananda for faith, strength and enthusiasm to serve the Guru, sharing with others what we have received from our Guru, trying to understand the importance of Guru by understanding the Guru Tattva, glorifying the Guru, regular attendance of Mangalarti and Guru Puja where the Guru is glorified, attending the yatras which the Guru conducts, Saddharma Pracha, sincere, meaningful inquiries from the Guru. So these are various ways in which we can develop attraction to the Guru. What about Vrindavan? How do we develop attraction to Vrindavan? He says, of course, we were more Vrindavan Vidyapit where, it was a kind of course where, we were discussing about various places of Vrindavan, glorifying the various Lalita Devi, Yamuna Devi, Govardhan, like that. That is, and yatras in the proper Sangha. Gaura Amar Jesabastane Koralo Brahmana Range Sesabastana Heribo Ami Pranayi Bhakata Sange. So in the association of Pranayi Bhakata, loving devotees who have deep attachment to the Holy Dham, in their association, we should go for yatras. Speaking and glorifying those places, establishing those places of worship in a small way. In your own place, it could be even a photograph where in your house you may have photographs of many Leela Stalis. Looking at them, you may meditate on them. Go to the individual places and recite those pastimes. Meditate on those pastimes. Remember those pastimes. We can clean the Dham. We can render services in the Dham to the Dhamvasis. We may do parikrama. And we may engage ourselves in, whatever we have learnt about the Dham, reveal the Dham to the visitors because they may not know the glories of particular places. We can do that. Accepting the prasad from the Dham, avoiding Dhama Aparada, avoiding committing offenses in the Dham, offering obeisances, such an opportunity that we have. Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibi Kalavasani Kratau. It is mentioned about the 6 Goswamis. Not only they used to count the number of rounds that they used to chant, but they used to very diligently count the number of obeisances that they used to offer to Vaishnavas and the Holy Dham. And most importantly, to associate with those who have great love for the Dham. So this is how we can develop Rati for Vraja. So we are talking about how true ego can be developed, right? So then Rati for the 3 classes of devotees, Goshtalayishu Sujane Bhusuragane, the Vrajavasis, the other Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. He says we can develop attraction towards them by serving them, hearing about the glories of their association from the Shastras, obeying their orders, accepting their foot dust, Mahaprasad and foot wash, Bhakta Pada Doliyara, Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avasheshatina Mahabal. By hearing about their glories from other devotees and speaking about their glories, and also giving at least basic respect, even if we may not be like-minded. Okay. Writing books about them, hearing from them, visiting places with them, having the 6 exchanges with them. Dadati Pratigranati Guhyamakyati Prichati Bhumte Bhojete Cheva. Right. Learning to overlook their conditionings. Okay. This we very diligently follow. How do you develop attraction for the Gayatri Mantra? Chanting on time and never missing. Planning. Oh, I have this work. Then when will I chant my Gayatri Mantra? Oh, I should actually schedule this service in such a way that I get a peaceful time to peacefully chant Gayatri Mantra. Because the Gayatri Mantra is an opportunity that we have. It's an extension of the holy name, which empowers us to touch the deities and serve them. So it has to be chanted. It is absolutely non-different from the Maha Mantra. Try to learn the glory of the Gayatri Mantra. Maintain cleanliness. Meditating on the meaning of the mantra. Mantrartha Chintanam. It's very important. Meditating with gratitude on the personalities whom are mentioned who are glorified in that Gayatri Mantra. Favorable direction, sitting in favorable direction, consciously trying to raise our consciousness to become qualified, even though we may not be currently qualified to even Gayatri Mantra. But nevertheless, due to whatever reasons the temple needed, so we may have been given the Gayatri Mantra, but still at least trying to raise ourselves to that qualification of to chant Gayatri Mantra and chanting it in a very prayerful mood. And then how do we develop rati for the holy name? Avoid the offenses, Dashavidanama Parad, chanting in the association of devotees. This is a very powerful way of developing attraction for the holy name. Hearing the glories of the holy name, praying to Nam Prabhu, praying to Namacharya Haridas Thakur, hearing attentively whatever we are chanting, by offering prayers to Panchatattva, endeavoring to increase the quantity gradually. Understanding that Nama is not one of limbs. It is not an anga of bhakti, but it is the angi. It is the possessor of limbs. All the other 63 are angas. Abhinnatvad nama namino, understanding the non-difference between the Nama and Krishna himself. And associate with those who have taste for the holy name, chanting near Tulsi Maharani. And we may attend holy name seminars, workshops like that. Like that, there are many ways by which gradually we develop attraction. So the fastest, as it is Lord Shiva Parvati Devi, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnor Aradhanam Param Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadiyanam Samarchanam. Of all the forms of worship, Vishnu worship is the topmost. But amongst all the forms of Vishnu worship, worship Tadiya is the topmost, especially the Vaishnavas. Okay. But Tadiya means anything connected with Krishna. So the most powerful way of establishing a relationship with Krishna is to develop proper relationship with anything directly connected with him. Right. So then this is the first thing that he says. This is the first step. When we do this, gradually we are taking a step towards developing the true ego. Of course, true ego is already developed. Now we have to water the true ego and starve the false ego. Starve the past false ego and feed the current true ego. So that, which means we have to start running faster and we have to somehow slow down the train. Okay. So then the next thing that Raghunath Das Goswami says is change your paradigm of thinking, feeling, and willing so that it is more in line with being a Gaudiya Vaishnava or a Vaishnava. Right? Because when we carry these upadhis actually influence our thinking, feeling, and willing. So we should start thinking and feeling and willing. At least we should force ourselves to think, feel, and will according to our newfound true ego. Okay. So this is what he says. He says, Na dharmam na dharmam shruti gana niruktam kila kuru vraje radha krishna prachura paricharya mihatanu shachi sunum nandishwara pati sutatve guruvaram mukunda prishtatve smara padamajasram nanumana. So he says, when someone is an ordinary materialist, he thinks, I will accept whatever I like and I will reject whatever I don't like. That is his, acceptance and rejection of things of this. Ragasya sankalpo dveshasya varjanam. Whatever I like, I will accept. Whatever I don't like, I will reject. But someone who may be little more dharmic, very religious, he will think, dharmasya sankalpo adharmasya varjanam. Whatever is dharmic according to my varna and ashrama, I will accept it. Whatever is adharmic against my varna and ashrama, I will reject. Raghunath Goswami says, very good, very good. But now you have to change that paradigm also. You cannot think in terms of dharma and adharma. You should start thinking in terms of what will please the Guru and what will please Radha and Krishna. Generally, whatever is dharmic will be pleasing to Radha and Krishna and Guru, but sometimes um, um, something which they want us to do or which may be likable to them may not strictly fall within the category of ordinary dharma and adharma. So he says that stop thinking in terms of dharma and adharma and start thinking in terms of Vraje Radha Krishna Prachura Paricharya Mihatanu. What should I do which will maximize my opportunity to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan and my Guru Maharaj? So that should be our thought process, that our paradigm of thinking, feeling, and willing should change. And this should be a conscious endeavor. That's what Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says. And then he says, okay, if the goal of life is to worship Radha and Krishna, then what is the role of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He says, Sachi Sonum Nandishwara Pati Sutatve. Understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. He is non-different from Radha and Krishna. So definitely our means of establishing a relationship with Radha and Krishna is only through establishing a relationship with Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then what is the role of Guru? If the goal of life is to establish relationship with Radha and Krishna, what is the role of worshipping a Guru? Guruvaram Mukunda Preshtatve. So understand, learn to see your Guru as the dearmost servant of Lord Mukunda. And your means of establishing a relationship with Radha and Krishna is one through the Guru. The Guru is going to catch hold of your hands and take you to Radha and Krishna. So therefore, we should see that direct connection. Guruvaram Mukunda Preshtatve Smaramana. Like that. Okay, I don't have much time to discuss the details, of course. Then the third thing in developing fixing the true ego, the third important point that he says is importance of chastity. The role of chastity in developing our true identity. So he says that Yadi Cheravasam Vrajabu Visaragam Pratijanur Yuvadvandvam Tachet Paricharitumara Dabilashe Swarupam Shri Rupam Saganamihatasya Grajamapi Sputam Premna Nityam Smaranamatadattvam Shrunumana. So he says, my dear mind, Yaditvam Ichehe, if you desire Pratijanu, life after life, Vrajabuvi Avasam. If it is your desire to stay life after life in Vrindavan, Saragam, with a mood which is similar to the mood of the Vrajavasis, and while staying there, Paricharitum Yuvadvandvam Tachet Paricharitum Arada Vilashe. And while living there, if your desire is actually to serve the youthful couple Shri Radha and Krishna, Ara, while being in close proximity to them, then what you should do? Tada Sputam Smara. Then you should clearly remember Nama, offer obeisances to Swarupam Shri Rupam Saganamiha Tasyagrajamapi. To Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, and his associates in Vrindavan. And his elder brother Sanatan Goswami. Like that. So which means here, to summarize the teachings of this verse, he says, if you have a very specific identity which you wish to develop as a servant of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, then the only means of attaining it is through the teachings of the 6 Goswamis. Swarupam Shri Rupam Saganamiha Tasyagrajam. So we don't want, when you are desiring a very specific identity, then you should remain chaste to that particular parampara. That's what he says. Can what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, can it be attained through other sampradayas? Sri Raghunath Das Goswami says, no, it is not possible. So therefore, there is definitely one should be very much chaste to hearing from the parampara only and not from different places. Just like if water available at 100 feet and someone says if you dig 100 feet you will get water, what they mean is you have to dig 100 feet at one place, not that at 10 different places you dig 10 feet and you tell that I have dug 100 feet but there is no water. Like that you can dig 10,000 feet, there will be no water, right? 100 feet means 100 feet at one place, which means it's not that little you hear from this parampara, little bit you hear from that parampara. All are bona fide paramparas, right? Just like we saw, a bus ticket is bona fide, a train ticket is bona fide, a flight ticket is bona fide. As long as you board the bus with the bus ticket, board the train with the train ticket, and board the flight with the flight ticket. You cannot say, I have a bona fide bus ticket and board the flight and the flight should take me. That doesn't work, right? So therefore, we have to accept we have to accept teachings from one parampara and then follow it clearly. We cannot hope to dig around multiple places. All paramparas are bona fide. Choose one bona fide parampara and follow the teachings properly. This is what he says. Then in the fourth verse to seventh verse, he talks about, how to identifying the various aspects. What are the various forms in which our past false ego manifests and how do you deal with them? How do you give them up? Okay. He starts with the grossest to the subtlest. Okay. I will not read the verse. I will just in 2 minutes summarize because I wish to take some time for discussing the question and answers also, otherwise it will not be good. So one thing that he says is the grossest thing, the grossest obstacle, he talks about 3 obstacles. He says Asadvarta, Muktikata and Lakshmipati Ratim. He says that first obstacle he says is Asadvarta. Varta means words, Varta means activities also. Right. So Asadvarta means Prajalpa. One should consciously try to avoid talking materialistic talks, reading them, hearing them, seeing them like that. Varta also means activities. So Asadvarta means those activities which inspire our Sat Trishna, a thirst to enjoy material things. So what are those activities which inspire our Asat Trishna? He says, Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. So these 6 things must be carefully avoided so that our thirst for material enjoyment is not increased. And then Mukti Katha, hearing a lot about Mukti, Mukti, Mukti as described in the Jnana Shastras or as spoken by the Mayavadis and others. Hearing them will kill our desire for Bhakti. And then the third thing he says is Apityatva Lakshmi Patiratim Ito Vyomanayani. He says that you should give up your attachment to worshipping Lakshmi Narayan and other forms of the Lord. Right? So he says, he does not say don't worship. He says, give up your attachment to worshipping them. Because then you will be taken to Vaikuntha. If you want to go to Goloka, Yadicher Avasam Vrajabhuvi Saragam Pratijano. If your desire is to stay in Vrindavan and worship Radha and Krishna, then you should give up your attachment to worshipping the other forms and develop attachment to worshipping only the forms of Radha and Krishna. That is something that he says. Then these are little bit gross, little bit more subtler. Is he talks about the highway robbers of lust, anger, envy, pride, greed, and illusion. So he says, how do you overcome these highway robbers? He says, Gale badva hanyeham iti bakabid vatmapagane kurutvam futkaram avati sayatatvam manayita. He says, when a devotee is trying to progress on the path of devotion, these 6 highway robbers of lust, anger, envy, greed, illusion, and pride are standing there, trying to choke his devotional progress by through this lusty acts, angry acts, and all those kinds of unfavorable acts. They are putting a noose around his neck and trying to choke him to death. What is the solution? He says, Hanyeham, Hanyeham, iti bakabid vartmapagane kurutvam putkaran. He says, one should shout, I am dead, please help me. In this way, one should cry out for help. From whom? Bakabid Vartmapagane. From the devotees who are like the policemen on that highway, and they will come and protect us. So we were discussing, what does it mean to cry out for help? So what does it mean to cry out for help? We were discussing. One thing it means is certainly opening our heart to other devotees, but to be helplessly dependent on other devotees, to realize that we are in trouble and we need help, and being very truthful before the Vaishnavas, seeking help for spiritual progress, seeking prayers, all that is true. But for all this, we should have a loving and trustworthy relationship with the Vaishnavas. Otherwise, how can we open our heart? We will not be able to trust that Vaishnava. And in order to develop a loving and trustworthy relationship with the Vaishnavas, we need to invest in that relationship. How to invest? Through the 6 exchanges. Dadati pratigranati guhyamakyati pruchati bhungte bojete chevasham priti lakshanam. So what does it mean that Vaishnavas association will help us overcome these things? In association, we get the strength to act appropriately, which means never stay alone. Alone, our mind will cheat us. Okay. And another meaning is that establish relationship with devotees that you feel comfortable to approach them when we are troubled by these highway robbers. Okay. So if we, so this is very important to invest, so that when we are troubled by these highway robbers, we can approach them and seek help like that. And then he talks about even subtler anarthas of hypocrisy, duplicity, which he compares to taking bath in a donkey's urine. So the solution for this, he says, is Sadatvam Gandharva Giridhari Pada Prema Vilasat Sudam Bodhav Snatva. Learn to develop an attachment to glorify Radha and Krishna, Vrindavan, and all these things. When we develop an absorption in glorifying Radharani, Krishna, and their associates, beauty, glorification, name, form, etc., then it will take our consciousness away from the self. Because the problem of hypocrisy, duplicity, and all these things is due to self-absorption. When the self-absorption is removed and a person is focuses on glorifying the Supreme Lord, when Krishna is at the center, automatically the When self-absorption is gone, then the problem of duplicity, hypocrisy, everything will go away. Like that, he says. Then he talks about the next, the subtlest form of this anartha or the manifestation of the false ego is actually pratishta asha, desire for name, fame, glorification, facilities, etc. Pratishta, prestige, desire for prestige. So this is the root cause of all the other anarthas. As long as this desire for prestige is there, wanting to be glorified, uh, distinction, desire for distinction, desire for glorification, desire for prestige, etc. It will, this lady will bring with her all her paramours in the form of all the other anarthas. And the best way of overcoming this, he says, is Sadatvam Sevasva Prabhudaita Samanta Matulam. So the best way of overcoming this anartha is to serve very exalted devotees, and by serving those exalted devotees, you will realize your own humble position, and you will realize that here is a great devotee who deserves all the prestige, glorification, and facilities. Why am I hankering for this? Let me try to give him all that he deserves, like that. So in that way, the desire for pratishtha will be removed by that devotee when we serve that devotee with great diligence and affection. Like that. Of course, there are other verses which are little bit on the higher level, but just these are few things which so in order to, unless we try to situate ourselves in the right ego, in the true ego, and perform activities which nourish the true ego, and diligently try to perform activities which actually starve the inertia or slow down the inertia of the past false ego, proper respect cannot be given. And if proper respect we don't give, then definitely we are prone to commit offenses and disrespect, and this will lead to later problems in our spiritual lives. Anyways, I am sorry, as always, I was running short of time, so I will pause here so that we have at least some time for some discussion, question and answers. If there is anything anyone would like to share as add, you can please go ahead. Can I do the muting, unmuting thing? Because that would be easier. So let me just mute and unmute. Rinki Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I got a question. Is like when Srila Prabhupada told that we worship Sri Radha, Sri Krishna according to the mode of Narayan Lakshmi.
Yeah.
So how can we develop that you have been just discussing about that? We cannot attach to Narayan Lakshmi Devi worship if we are desiring for Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. How we can develop that, and what is the depth of Srila Prabhupada said that thing?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. So what it means is, Prabhupada said, worship Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. That's what he said. He did not say worship Lakshmi Narayan. We did not install Lakshminarayan deities in any one of his 108 temples. In all the temples he installed either Gaurnita or Jagannath Baldev Subhadra or Lakshmi or Radha and Krishna only. He never installed any Lakshminarayan deities anywhere. So what Prabhupada said was, worship them in the mood of worshipping Lakshminarayan, which means worship them respectfully. Don't become overly familiar with them when there are still so many anarthas there in your heart. So that familiar form of worship, which is generally seen in the later stages of Raganuga Bhakti, don't try to imitate it in the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti. That's what Srila Prabhupada meant. So otherwise, he did not want us to worship Lakshminarayan deities. Wanted to worship Radha and Krishna only, seeing them as Radha and Krishna only, but in a mood of awe and reverence, at least in the initial stage when our heart is filled with anarthas. That's what it means. Is that?
How we can be develop the, I mean, how is the transformations going to happen, Prabhuji, from the own reverence mood to the Radha Krishna and Vrindavan? If we
It will
desire
happen. Yeah, it will happen when the heart becomes purified of our real attachments. Then automatically the space will be created for developing attraction to Radha and Krishna. And then we have the right kind of association. Then of senior devotees, in their association, we will develop the right kind of attachment. It will change.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sukakar Krishna Prabhu.
As usual, such a very elaborate cause, and you give the false is the biggest trouble everybody is having, and you give so many things. Will you be able to share all these things what you are told today, Prabhu? Because it's very, very interesting and very useful for everybody to change their false ego to real ego. So you'll be
every time I share these notes, Prabhu, these notes are available.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So one question is, now you told that to share with the senior devotees that any anarthas going on, any sort of attachment or anything against the spiritual life. So there is always a worry that will leak out whatever he is telling to someone, and then to hide that they will not open it out. What is the way to get the confidence of telling at least one devotee something out and of what's happening in the mind, and what is the way we are getting tricked out and falling into the illusion?
Yeah, we will have to definitely invest in developing that kind of a relationship. Like we saw through the 6 exchanges. Gradually, when we serve them, when we have these 6 exchanges, gradually that preeti will develop, that loving emotions. When that preeti develops, along with that preeti, trust will also develop. And when the trust develops along with preeti, then we'll be willing to open up our heart without having the fear of getting judged or any such things like that.
Super, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, there are some questions in the chat box. In the meantime, if someone else raises their hands. So it is mentioned not to get attached to Lakshmi Narayan along with curtailing all other anarthas which rise naturally. Does it mean attraction to Lakshmi Narayan also comes naturally while advancing in bhakti? No, not necessarily. If you already have that attachment to worshipping Lakshmi Narayan, then you give it up. It's not that it naturally develops. That's my understanding. If Sadhu respects all living entities, how come he takes pleasure in killing snakes and scorpions as mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj? What is that? Modeta sadhurapi vrishchika sarpa hatya. Like that it is mentioned. So he does not take pleasure in killing the envious living entities like scorpion and snakes. That is not what gives him pleasure. The pleasure is in protecting other living entities who may be sadhus, who may be innocent living entities from these envious people. So because the envious living entities will not give up their nature. So Bhakti Siddhanta School did not say one of the duties of the Gaudiya Math Brahmachari should be to every day go and spend 2 hours searching for envious creatures and kill them. No. But when he saw those scorpions and snakes in the Gaudiya Math, in which there are so many sadhus staying, understanding that the life of a sadhu is very valuable, and the presence of these envious living entities will create danger to the sadhus. Therefore, he gives. So the pleasure is not in killing the envious creatures. The pleasure is in protecting the sadhus. That is the purpose. That is my understanding. Okay, there is another question. Okay. In ISKCON Chowpatty, there is Lakshminarayan deity. So just want to know how it got installed. Oh, this is very interesting. It was not installed. Actually, the first deity, it was already, the Lakshminarayan deities were already, they were not installed by ISKCON devotees. It was originally a Lakshminarayan temple only. Radha Gopinath ji came there much later. Originally, for I think it's more than 100 years old, the deities. They were there much before Radha Gopinath ji came. And we continued when ISKCON took over, then the ISKCON devotees continued that worship there. Otherwise, it was not installed. Okay, there is another question. I did not understand what you meant by one should respect according to evolved consciousness. Can you please elaborate? Can you define what you mean? Okay, by giving respect. That's what Srila Rupa Goswami says, right? Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranatibhischa bhajantamisham shushrushaya bhajana vigyam ananyam anya nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabdya. So he says that if someone has just started chanting the holy names, he has accepted path of devotional service, offer him respects mentally. Whereas if someone has progressed further and has become qualified to receive Diksha, and he is engaged in worshipping the forms of the Lord, then you physically offer obeisances. Dikshasti chet pranatibhischa bhajantamisham. But Shushrushaya bhajana vigyam ananyam anya nindadunya hridamipsita sangalabdya. But if someone is there whose heart is completely free of the desire to criticize others and who is an expert in the science of devotional service, then you try to sincerely take his association and serve him very diligently. So that way, the way we manifest respect should be different actually. It's not that we want to give less respect to the Kanishtaris, but just that we want to give more respect to the Uttamadhikaris. That is what it means. Okay. Yes. Anjana Gopika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danat Pranam. Very nice class. Your class is very detailed and very deep. Very nice. Prabhuji, this Manasiksha you were saying, and then giving up the false identity and then just developing the spiritual identity. It's very inspiring to me. I was thinking always how to give up this false identity and then develop this spiritual identity, and you have given very nicely from Manasisya. But I'm feeling this very much overwhelming, when we see the situation of the family matters, all these things will make us carried away from to identify with this spiritual identity. You have given the eight things how we can consciously develop the relationship with them. But we most of the time I get carried away by the things, the situation, what is happening in our whole situation, Prabhuji. That's how you can say in the beginning how, and then so many the things Vrindavan, holy name is there, book are there, sometimes devotee association is there, but we take so granted, and then it's we are almost carried away. How you give the suggestion can consciously develop the spiritual identity.
Yeah, the most powerful way of doing that is, Bhakti Sangha, right? Attending these Bhakti Sangha sessions, where we come together with devotees and keep reminding us what is Anukul for Bhakti, what is Pratikul for Bhakti. Anukulyasya Sankalpo Pratikulyasya Varjanam. Again and again we hear, because we tend to forget. And the inertia of our past practices, of our past bad habits is so strong. Therefore, again and again, when we hear, we remind ourselves and we try to mold ourselves according to what we hear. So it is a slow process, because we are carrying the inertia of millions of lifetimes of acquired false ego. So it is not going to go away so easily. So we don't have to become despondent. As Krishna says, Sa nischayena yoktavyo yogo anirvinna chetasa. In the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, one should have determination and one should not become depressed when we face with lot of obstacles. It is okay. We should not feel depressed because ultimately, if we are diligent and if we are sincere, for Krishna, nothing is difficult. For Krishna, nothing is difficult. I'll just give a small story. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, in his book Journey Home, he writes that Maharaj, before coming to ISKCON, before joining ISKCON, he used to stay with many sadhus. One of the sadhus with whom he used to stay was Ramesh Babaji in Barsana. So he stayed many days with Ramesh Babaji. One day he saw that they always used to sleep outside. One day he saw that Ramesh Babaji was sleeping with a stick next to him. And Maharaj asked, Babaji, I have never seen you sleep with a stick next to you. Why are you having this stick today? So Babaji said, oh, the residents of Barsana told that they have seen a tiger roaming around here. So that's why I'm having the stick. So Maharaj said, what do you mean? Can you actually drive a tiger, save yourself from a tiger using the stick? Babaji Maharaj says, no. Ultimately, I can never save myself from a tiger using this stick. But this stick is just to show to Radharani that Radharani, I wish to save my body so that I can utilize it in your service. I am interested in protecting my body. This is just to show to her. Ultimately, she only has to, her mercy will only protect. But the stick is just to show. So our determination to diligently try to follow is like that stick. Maya Devi is like, the influence of Maya Devi is like that tigress. But we are showing our stick of our determination to Krishna so that Krishna can mamevaya prapadyante maya metam tarantite, so that Krishna can protect us. So we try to diligently do whatever is within our capacity to do the right things. We don't have to get overwhelmed because ultimately Krishna's mercy is there and it is all powerful. But we should always carry that stick with us and to show to Krishna that Krishna, I am interested in progressing. So please allow me to progress, or please let your mercy flow so that I can progress, like that. Okay, there is another question in the chat box. What? Okay. Okay. Is cleansing process of false ego to true ego, is it living entity's endeavor or is it Krishna who does this? It is both. I think we just discussed this. It is both. Actually, the endeavor, 2 fingers too short, right? One finger is our endeavor, one finger is the finger of mercy, like that. Anything else before we wind up for the day? I think we have gone already over time. So thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. We will pause here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you once again for such a beautiful class. Very grateful to you, Prabhu. I allow everybody to unmute. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhu.
नमो नमः।
Prabhu ki jai.
Gauranga,
Nityananda,
Nityananda, Nanda, Gauranga,
Gauranga.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Gauranga,
Nityananda,
Nityananda.
Gauranga.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Hari Bol,
Radhika
everyone.
Mataji.
Thank you so much.
Hari Bol.
Signing, closing the call.
Hari Bol.